was 2 weeks till Christmas. All the engines, both large and small, were all very excited. They had all been helping with the preparations. And now the little engines were waiting at their shed for the thin controller to give them their final orders that evening. The thin controller soon arrived aboard Madge. "You all have jobs to do," said the thin controller. "Duncan and Peter Sam," he said importantly, "you are both in charge of the cards, letters, and parcels. Scarloey, you will bring the owner, whilst Rusty will bring Mr. Hugh." The thin controller paused impressively. "And Sir Handel, this year you will fetch the Christmas tree. It is needed for the Fat Controller's party in the town square at Kronk Station." Sir Handel beamed with pride. "Yes, sir," he said proudly. Of course, not all of the engines were pleased for him, but Sir Handel didn't care what they thought. "You're only jealous," he said. Next morning, Sir Handel had picked up the Christmas tree safely and was on his way to the wharf. Thomas the tank engine was on his way to the wharf too, puffing down the line through Henry's Forest. He had been chosen to collect the Christmas tree this year, much of course to the displeasure of the other engines. When Thomas arrived, the wharf was very busy with engines and boats coming and going. Just then, Duncan rolled up alongside. "Are you looking for something, Thomas?" Duncan asked. "Yes, I've come to collect the Christmas tree," Thomas replied. "Can you tell me where it is?" "Don't you know what a Christmas tree looks like?" Duncan asked cheekily. He enjoyed teasing the Fat Controller's engines, particularly Thomas and James. But his jokes and tricks often got him into trouble. "Listen, Peter Sam," Duncan called out. "Thomas doesn't know what a Christmas tree looks like." "Oh dear, how shocking," simmered Peter Sam. "Of course I know what a Christmas tree looks like," snapped Thomas. "It's a tall green tree with a pointed end. Now if you'll excuse me, I'll be on my way." Thomas didn't like being teased by the little engines, especially by Duncan. Further up the line, Thomas met Sir Handel. "Ah, Thomas," Sir Handel said, "the Christmas tree is—" "A tall green tree with a pointed end," fumed Thomas. "I know, and I don't need any jokes and teasing from you either." Sir Handel was surprised, but this went on for the majority of the day. Whenever Thomas went into one of the warehouses, the engines working there gave him a friendly greeting and offered their help. But Thomas simply said, "No thank you, I can manage." Until at last, Thomas spotted something that resembled the likeness of the tree on a flatbed. It was long with a pointed end, and it was covered with a tarpaulin. "Hooray!" cheered Thomas. "I found the Christmas tree!" "Don't be so sure," said his driver. "It could just be a load of pipes." "Nonsense!" fussed Thomas. "It is the tree. I know it is. I've collected it on so many occasions, and that's something that I can never forget the length of." Reluctantly, his driver decided to go along with Thomas's theory. So Thomas puffed out of the warehouse with the flatbed truck and onto the open line. "Wait!" shouted a workman, but Thomas was puffing too fast for him or his crew to hear. Suddenly, Thomas was sent down the wrong track. His driver applied the brakes, but the rails were slippery. "Help!" wailed Thomas, but it was too late. The flatbed bashed through the buffers and splashed into the canal. "Oh no!" cried Thomas. "The Christmas tree is ruined!" Scarloey and Duncan were nearby. "A Christmas tree, you say?" Scarloey asked. "But Thomas, it's only a load of pipes." "Oh dear," sighed Thomas. I think I should have listened to you, driver, he added sadly. Indeed, you should have, replied his driver sternly. Now the cranes will have to fish the pipes out. Thomas's face blushed red with embarrassment. For only a standard gauge engine, he couldn't have felt smaller. The quayside crane soon lifted the pipes out of the water. Sir Handel delivered the tree this morning, Duncan said, so only he knows where it is. If you want his help, he'll be at the transfer yards. After hearing what Duncan had said, Thomas decided to head off on his way to find Sir Handel. When he arrived at the transfer yards, he found Sir Handel resting on a siding. Sir Handel, Thomas called out, I've been a very silly engine. I mistook a load of pipes for the Christmas tree. Please, can you help me? I need to get the tree to the town square at Kronk Station quickly. Don't worry, Thomas, Sir Handel smiled kindly. I'll be glad to help you out. Just follow me. Soon enough, the two engines set off, feeling cold but pleased as they raced through the snowy countryside. It wasn't long before Sir Handel had shown Thomas where the Christmas tree was, and a flatbed was coupled up behind Thomas. Thank you for your help, Sir Handel, Thomas said kindly. I wish I'd asked for help after all, and then I wouldn't have gotten into such a mess. A lesson an engine should always remember, said his driver. When in doubt, always ask for help. I'm sorry I teased you earlier, apologized Duncan, but if you ever need my help next Christmas, I'll be glad to help. Thomas smiled happily and agreed. I must be going, Thomas said. The Fat Controller is waiting for this tree, and he's relying on me to be on time. With a toot of goodbye, Thomas went on his way. All the little engines tooted goodbye in return. Once he got to the town square at Kronk Station, the Christmas tree was quickly unloaded, put into his tub, and decorated. The Fat Controller stood by the tree and boomed, 1, 2, 3! And suddenly, as if by magic, the tree was flooded with lights. Everyone clapped and cheered. The tree with its lights looked splendid. Even Thomas was pleased too. The town square party was a great success. Afterwards, Thomas went back to Tidmouth Sheds. The other engines were already fast asleep. You know what? Thomas whispered to his driver. I don't think a load of pipes would have looked as splendid with Christmas tree lights as the Christmas tree did. Indeed not, laughed his driver. But bigger engines can still ask for help from the littlest of helpers, even if they're not Santas. But they're certainly my little helpers, Thomas said happily. And then he fell fast asleep, dreaming of his little helpers on the Skarloey Railway.